Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former professional basketball player, sports analyst, school founder, and activist, Jalen Rose, and hip-hop innovator, pioneer, lyricist, and executive producer, Chuck D.
I like Nike, but wait a minute. The neighborhood supports, so put some money in it. The corporations blow, we gotta give up the dough, or else we gotta shut them down. 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 What up, though? Yo, first off, can we give a shout out and a happy birthday to ya? Happy birthday to happy, yeah, 63. Yeah, happy. That's love right there. Give it up for my OG.
Y'all must be saying happy birthday to the president. I come to the president's spot, man, so I feel that, and thank y'all. And thanks for allowing us to show the film and being in the building. And I got my man, the YG.
Yes, sir.
Jalen Rose.
What up, though? Hey, this is a beautiful, beautiful. I love seeing our people. I love seeing hip-hop in all of its glory. And I want to thank you, Uncle Chuck D, for this documentary, this docuseries, because it was incredible. Did y'all enjoy that?
Well, you know, I mean, really, you know, Jalen, it's like 50 years, when anything's 50 years, we can't be like, you know, amazed when it starts to take care of itself. It has to clear its own myths. In our culture, we got too much mythology flying around. When ESPN came along, it made sure people weren't stupid on sports. But once upon a time, we used to, as a group of people, we used to be astute on music knowledge. We would know who would play the instruments, name the members of Earth, Wind, and Fire and the Commodores, be able to say that the radio stations and the DJs said something instead of selling you sandwiches all the time, and tell you about the weather, because the DJs and the radio, they were our GPS system. They informed us. When they played a record by Stevie Wonder, they gave backdrop, they gave background. That's why Motown, there'd never be anything like a Motown, because it was a universe in Motown, man, coming out of Detroit. There was migration that figured into that. So, the long story short, I challenged the producer on this film. Big up to Lorri Boula, who made it happen.
Give it up.
Lorri. And woo! Me, I'm the person, I don't dance with corporations much, so he's the person that has that language. I'm a creator, I'm like a furnace. And I challenged her, I said, Lorri, listen, we're gonna do this hip hop thing, and I'm gonna get into that film, TV world. The question is, and I told you in the background, how do we make importance great, if not greater than popularity? Because of whether it's film, music, arts, sports, culture, whatever, we judge by numbers. And our numbers are based on the quantity instead of our quality.
Correct.
So I gave Lorri that challenge, and she kicked tail with a 4-part series and dealt with all the ins and outs. And yes, it's on PBS, but PBS to me meant like, well, you know what? More than anything else, I understand the Hulus and all the stuff in streaming on your phone and all that, but I wanted to put something neck to neck with a person I looked at, and I said, I want us to be on this side, because Ken Burns is always kicking ass.
Yes, indeed. My family.
And whether you know the deal, the red tape, the ins and outs, or whatever, Ken Burns is on public television and is considered, well, whether you like it or not, he's America's documentarian, right? And all of a sudden, all I collect and watch is documentaries. I got a wall full of documentaries. But over the last 10 years, documentaries is just all of a sudden this popular thing, this pop thing, and we'll do it in 5 or 6 episodes and stuff like that. So my challenge was like, listen, man, when we're gonna cover hip hop, how do we not only make importance great, if not greater than popularity, where our numbers are about quality of the information, and also when it comes down to us as a people and culture, the number one question that we have to look at as we go forward, it's like, how do we honor the pain? Right? No matter what you do. You can say you into this, that, whatever. How do you honor the pain?
Absolutely. And I just want to make sure everybody recognizes something that's very important as hip hop turns 50. This is Chuck D. Give it up for Public Enemy. Public Enemy. And when you talk about that pain, I remember hearing rappers delight. Hip hop, hip hop. Everybody knows that song. And the crazy thing, and I'm not as smart as people think I am, this hip hop started in 1973, and that's the year I was born. So I'm like, we cousins. That's my family. Like, we done been through a lot of ish together. You know what I'm saying? And when I first saw the video of Grandmaster Flash and Melly Mel, you talk about the pain, it's like broken glass everywhere. People pissing on, I was like, yo, that's around the corner. Like, that spoke to me. So for you, as a legend, as an innovator, as the executive producer of this documentary, what did that mean for you?
I had to honor the contributors. Just like, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the GOAT in the sport that you played, right?
Go ooh and ah when I jump in my car, people treat me like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
First record I made, tipped the hat to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar because, you know, and I'm not gonna, this is not the Kareem story, but I'm saying in Kareem, what he had done to basketball, he says, I'm more than a basketball player. I'm gonna tell the story because I came here on the shoulders of giants. So if we're gonna tell the story about hip hop, I gotta tell the story on the shoulders of giants.
Yes, sir.
And you know, hip hop is this thing, but listen, our culture didn't start with hip hop.
Correct.
Right? I mean, it's a great thing, but it came out of a culture. So a lot of times when in the past people are like, yo, I love hip hop, I would ask, well, do you love black people? And they were like, what does that got to do with it? It's got a lot to do with it. Because if you don't kind of love the situation and the people it come out of, how you gonna honor hip hop is something that you love, right?
Preach.
So that's what this story wanted to say. It wanted to be a kit, just a learn to respect kit amongst all the documentaries and storylines coming out of Hip Hop 50. I mean, it's bananas right now. I mean, I can't wait to Hip Hop 51.
Preach.
Because it's all culminating in 2 weeks and everybody's doing everything. And I'm like, what is November gonna look like, yo? You know, so I mean, what we wanted to do is just erase some of the myth, because a lot of times it's, like I said, ESPN, when it comes on, it makes sure that you're not stupid on sports. But we are so inept right now on music, our history of music. We keep it to our timeline, and nothing counts before, and nothing means nothing after because I ain't into it. And that's not how a culture in an industry, in a business is maintained and caretaked. Listen, we have to caretake our culture, not undertake it.
Ooh.
Right? You don't take care of something, it's gonna be taken away from you. If I ask everybody, look, this crowd looks to be like they born after 1950, right? Let me ask you 10 questions about black music up to 1945, and everybody be like, well, what that got to do with me? So therefore, our own lineage is just, you know, dumped in the water like the Boston Tea Party, and like, I'm into what I grew up with, and it begins with me and it ends with me. So therefore, when you check out, and a great conversation with the head of Universal, Jeff Horston, a longtime friend, he said one of the biggest booming musics right now is like mariachi updated music from Texas. So they got the kids 5 years old and the 85-year-old all listening to the same music. And y'all know that's the real deal. You go down to South, you go down to Texas, Laredo, El Paso, New Mexico, parts of Louisiana, and they go, and everybody's listening to the same music. And they say they can't stop it from streaming into the billions. With us, we got cutoff points. Like, nah, I ain't into what my people's into, my parents, and I'm not into what my kids are into. So therefore, if you talk about community that's supposed to communicate through the music and the culture, which was the universal language to connect us. With a DJ to add what you don't know, then you're talking about, well, the disconnect starts with our culture. So we have to have documentaries to clearly explain, yes, we picked a starting point, whether it's debatable or not. August 11th, 1973. What? Cool DJ Herc and his sister Cindy Campbell threw a back-to-school party and actually had it with a DJ, turntables, and records, and that started it off, official point. Now, it's debatable whether somebody came up with a style in their basement or whatever. No, we picked an official date. That's what they do in factual parts of history in a lot of different areas. They pick a date and we go on from there. So therefore, August 11th, 2023 is the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
Yes.
Now, it's one thing to talk about. Opinion is a wonderful thing, right? We know, I mean, come on, Jalen. You know, cats will give their opinion. I think the Fab Five was, I think, opinion is fantastic. But fact is an MF, right? Fact. Facts. And not just facts is like, I'm on social media. Fact. No, I'm talking about uppercase FACTS, undeniable. Yes. Look it up. It's no excuse. We got a personal computer in every pocket. Everybody got a phone. So it's ridiculous to not know the fact of the matter and start to say the details of the thing that we at least say that we love. If you say you love hip hop, then it behooves you to know about it. If you don't love it, you ain't got to know about it.
Wow.
It's just like food. It's like, I just like it. I don't know what they put in it. I just like to drink it, but I don't know what it is. I mean, come on, really serious? In 2023, it is no excuse. So when it came down to hip hop, we wanted to put a 4-part series that not only would sit here, but I've been to 116 countries. People were like, yo, Chuck, you been to they love hip hop there? I said, dude, hip hop brought me to 116 countries, y'all.
Give it up.
I don't buy a ticket to go to many places. They handle my ticket to come to the place, all right?
Right.
And usually in the name of hip hop and speaking or performing or some kind of form. So it was about saying that this music is official. I wasn't awe of it. I was 13 years old when it started. But at the same time, as an ambassador or a spokesperson, a fan of sports, a fan of music, a fan of what I grew up with, and parents that allowed me to be a culturalist, to lead into, I'm sort of like a futurist. I'm into the tech world for the last 25 years. And I can't be measured by the money I made, but I'm measured on the innovations I've been a part of, only so my music could ride on a road as opposed to a swamp. So, like for example, if you're on IG, put your hands in the air. And I started the first cultural media app called Bring the Noise. You could go to Apple stores. It's in. We just let Androids in on my birthday. My brother's an Android fan, and I don't understand why.
You don't want nobody FaceTiming them, that's why.
Yeah,
I lived that life.
And to build the apps are not easy because it took my team years, and and I'm just telling people to go to the Bring the Noise app. It's the world's first cultural media app. It's social media. It's like a sandbox. You got a 5-year-old. in there and an 80-year-old in there and a strip pole in the middle. Building blocks on the side. You gotta leave everybody their own little area. That's to say any of it's wrong, but after a while, you looking at it, nobody want to be in a place with a kid, or a kid don't need to be in there with a 50-year-old. So cultural media is about film, art, music, and sports, and you want to talk about the fights in the tech world. All of our people are on, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. What's the other one?
TikTok.
TikTok just stole everybody, and we don't even know why. So when Elon Musk and Zuckerberg have these fights, and y'all mad, like people mad at Elon Musk when he changed it to X overnight, and I'm like, you mad at Elon Musk, sitting your ass in a Tesla. Mad how your Apple iPhone done got hot and turned into X overnight. Like you gonna do something else. So I try to get people to come over to bring the noise where we do culture and our explanations at least. And I'm not one of those people who say, oh, support a black tech company. Now, I know, although it's like the water fountains, like down south, they say, I'm gonna go to the white one instead of the colored one because the white one got ice in it.
Yeah.
Well, same thing with black tech. So I had to just put that to the side. You can pull down, bring the noise, but it's part of how we have to control our narrative of the information of the culture we had. Now, if you say hip hop right now, does it tell the story of hip hop to this minute? It reflects on hip hop across the 50 years, but it has to say the foundation that it sprouted from. And that's fair to say. Everybody, has their favorites across their timeline. But like I said, everybody had their favorite that they grew up with.
Correct.
And there will be a future favorite. You just want, and this is the thing we talked about in the back, promoters and navigators of the music. It's very important to figure out how a crowd leaves. Even more important than how they came in. You can market people to pack up through the door, seriously. But it's how they leave that counts. And they had long abandoned that in black music and black culture, black art. Everybody thought, oh yeah, we could promote that. And then all of a sudden you got everybody else concerned in the promotion of our stuff. But where does it leave at the end? What's the residue effect? Does it bring people back into it? It doesn't happen in perpetuity like this is the greatest thing. Or even back in the day, you say the NBA is fantastic. Well, the fantastic is always our music and culture. We're fanatical about it. It has to bring us back, but it takes work, and we need explanations.
Yes, preach. So a couple of things. The term hip hop has been taken mainstream.
Massacred.
Right?
The term hip hop has been massacred.
It's almost been hijacked like the word woke. I mean, am I preaching?
Because listen,
okay.
We don't have interpreters out there. Our language is all over the place.
Right.
I mean, they got on Jamie Foxx yesterday, Jennifer Aniston, like, yo, sit down, girl.
Right.
Really? I mean, look, hip hop. Listen, I spoke to 900 colleges. A couple people I spoke back in the day when they were at their colleges or in the house tonight. I spoke at 900 colleges over a 25-year period
900.
For a reason. I have 7 books for a reason. I just don't, I got a book and come and I'm on a publicity celebrity stroll. I'm not a celebrity. I give clear, concise, logical answers that make you say, damn, I didn't think of that. Because I'm in it. Hip hop, definition of hip hop, right?
That's where I was going with you.
Definition of hip hop. It is the term for the creativity coming out of the black community since 1973. All right? That's the term. We've always been creative people over thousands of years. But the term hip hop, which means what? A bunch of different things. Sight, sound, story, and style, which also harks back to the elements. So the elements are DJing, right?
Yeah, graffiti.
Graffiti, MCing, and dance, breakdancing. But
Lingo.
let's not throw a tremendous glow over it. DJing is what? Musicianship. So looking at what? Art Tatum on the piano in 1938, or DJ Babu or Grandmaster Flash, same thing, musicianship. Whether they're James Jameson playing a chord off the side of a house, musician, how to make music out of nothing, hit the notes or whatever, turntablism. Okay, dance culture. Break dancing and dance culture going back as far, come on now, really? You go back to the motherland, dance culture is dance culture, right? What's the other one? Graffiti, right? Hieroglyphics. I mean, come on, style of art, you know. Then MCing, vocalization. So is there a correlation between Billie Holiday and Nas? Of course. That's the creativity, the umbrella of creativity of a people who basically don't have or didn't have a voice. We couldn't speak what we felt. We have problems of speaking what we felt before 1950, or maybe before 2021 or something like that, right? So that's hip hop, rap music. Now you'll remember this forever. Rap music is not a music. Rap is a vocal on top of music. There's only 3 styles of vocals. Hang with me. There's talking, there's singing, and the spectrum in the middle is rapping. There ain't no 4th vocal. Whistling, humming, no. When your mouth opens, you have a vocal. Saying that in the beginning, oh, I wonder when these rap records are gonna disappear. That's as silly as saying, I wonder when these singing records are gonna stop. Understand that? Rap is not a music. It's on top of musics that have already had definition. We know it. Blues, jazz, folk, reggae. You know, when a lot of times people say, all right, yeah, Chuck D, Public Enemy, y'all made the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but y'all ain't rock. I said, well, we the roll, baby. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
So I want to ask you about that.
Yes, sir. So it's the rock. So I'm saying those definitions are very clear. Now, here's the last one. Rap on top of music is a process of what? When you go into any studio or any radio station, an instrumental is what you dub a voice over. So basically a vocal on top of the instrumental is an overdub. That's why in reggae you hear what? Dub plates, instrumental. 3 types of music. There's vocal, instrumental, and a cappella, right? Name another one. You have the vocal on top of the instrumental, and you have a song. You either have an instrumental or you do what Take 6 did, vocal a cappella. So these are clear definitions that are never taught. And starting in 1973, you saw the de-emphasizing of musical lessons in the school systems because of austerity budgets. So out of the ashes like a phoenix, hip hop rose when New York City and the school budgets left music for dead. Yet and still, people flock to the music.
Correct. And that's what I wanted to ask you about, because as hip hop was able to parlay off of disco, and we see a lot of music being politicized in the documentary. You guys did an amazing job of highlighting how the Bronx was at that time. Y'all showed us how the Bronx was burning. Y'all showed us how our people had to overcome a lot of the things that we needed to overcome as being black people. But there were certain special people, and you fall into that category. You showed Muhammad Ali because he was political.
Grab the mic.
He was different. Yeah, I'm the greatest in the ring, but I'm a Negro outside of it too, right? And I know, following your lead, what it's like to have a voice outside of what's anticipated, out of what's expected. And that's not welcomed. So I want to ask you, when did you decide that you were going to lend your reputation, your voice as Public Enemy and Prophets of Rage, Chuck D, as somebody that was going to sacrifice, like Tommy Smith and John Carlos and so many other people in our race, you were going to sacrifice your reputation for your art?
Well, thank you, Jalen, for that. I'd be real quick on this. Born in 1960, mother and father born in Harlem, New York, right? I was always encouraged to be an artist from day zero, right? Even had a great-grandfather who was part architect, but my great-grandfather was the first licensed black architect in New Jersey.
Wow.
And the second in New York State, right?
Wow, give it up.
So I kind of had it in the family, kind of going through that. I wanted to be an artist, and my parents, you know, encouraged me. But I'll tell you straight up, I can't. If I had a little bit of fakeness in me, and I come to the crib, either my mother or father said, well, I don't know who just walked to the house, but you better go get Chuck. Because I don't recognize this one right here.
Right.
That's where it just started for me. I can't, you listen, the rest of the world is easy, yo. My parents would never fugazi. They come into my crib, man, it's a real, 1,000. You know that cats is they 100? They 1,000 to this, you know. My dad transitioned 7 years ago. I'm trying to tell you, I miss him every minute, but I hear him every minute, every second. And my mom just had hip surgery last week, so she's returning to her old self of telling us what to do and where to go. So the rest of the world is nothing. My sister, let me tell you, my sister's a year younger than me, right? We talk about fixing something at my mom's crib, really? Yo, man, we going up to the hospital, my mom's getting the hip surgery, and you know, I got beef, and I'm hearing it from her. And I'm like, yo, man, for real, the world is easy, yo. So there's nothing in the world that I looked at, I said that, listen, I'm gonna say what I gotta say. I'm not trying to be offensive, and really the truth should never, ever be offensive, because there's ways to talk to people, too.
It is.
There's ways to talk to people. And then, you know, Nation Islam will tell you that truth is God, but truth out of season, you know, ain't always good. So you gotta always know the timing of truth. And you gotta have language, because if you got bad language will put you in a box. I'm tell you now. You know? You know, like, I hated drug dealers. I wasn't gonna walk in a drug den and say, yo, man, this gotta go, man. You know, like, we're gonna turn this up. It's not wise.
Not wise.
Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It's what the 5%ers first kicked, and the 5%ers kicked it in their rhymes. That's why Rakim, the God MC, was so grand, because you could put a Rakim record from 86 and it be infinite science in 2050. But comprehension is important too. And that's why you never should dumb yourself down.
But Chuck, the mainstream America thought you were militant.
Well, what?
Mainstream America, right. Your group was called Public Enemy.
Exactly. And let me tell you where the name Public Enemy came from.
Tell me why.
Well, they considered black people 3/5 of a human being. And this was actually adhered, you know, by the document of the United States, the Constitution considered us 3/5 of the human being. Therefore, the public follows the document, and we must have been the enemy, right? Now, we could fast forward into like the conversations about police. But these things have grown into so many complexities that it takes concise language to clear people to be able to navigate and not stifle emotions, but be able to channel emotions into a forward energy. Because we are not alone here. I mean, there's a whole bunch of discourse going on that makes no goddamn sense at all. Like, yo, man, you know, F the diaspora. The diaspora don't mean anything. So when you leave the country, you go to look at somebody just like you, and you ain't trying to figure out how y'all together in the world of white supremacy takeover, you better connect, dog. And then you better figure out how to have you better have the language to connect with like-minded people, especially in a time where people are screenagers.
Ooh. So
It's screenagers.
Yes, I love this. So there was a time that I was on live television talking about sports, and the tragedy of Breonna Taylor happened.
Right.
And I was going to take off work that day because I was willing to quit or get fired depending on what I was going to say. That's truly how I felt. Like I was sweating underneath my shirt. And we was going to halftime, and I was like, arrest the cops that murdered Breonna Taylor. Corporate America wasn't happy with me. Don't think I didn't get an email. So I want to ask you a couple of things that you said that I know that they wasn't happy with you.
You got top 20?
Yeah, I know. And I want to ask you what you were thinking when you said it.
The Elvis movie came out last summer, and cats is hitting me up
Okay,
like...
so let's go there. Elvis was a hero to most, but he never meant... See, straight out racist, the sucker was simple and plain.
Listen.
Give it up. Most of my heroes don't appear on no stamp.
Listen. Everything I've done in the music business, in my whole career, I could vouch for it and silence the person asking me the question. I have TV shows offered to me over the years where that ain't for me. I've done things on TV and stuff like that. That's not my calling. I'm an artist. I'm a musician. But you know what? If somebody tried to corner me on anything I said and did, you damn right I got a quick answer for it. The Elvis line is simple. Spike Lee does a movie called Do the Right Thing, right? What's the big theme about that? Sal, how come ain't no black people on the wall? Right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know, I mean, fast forward. You got people that are like, yo, I didn't know Fight the Power was part of a movie.
Video and everything. March and everything. You snuck a Million Man March in during that video.
Sal, ain't no black people on the wall. Spike comes to me and said, Chuck, I need an anthem. Simple. I'm going to write a song about how there need to be some black people on the wall. Fight the Power. Not the first Fight the Power people. The first Fight the Power, the Isley Brothers, 1975. Right. All that bullshit going down.
We got to fight the power, that be.
Yo, I didn't know there was another Fight the Power, yo. That's not the person's fault telling me that. That's the fault of them not knowing because of the lack of the avenues that make them know. All right? Honestly, but that was just 14 years before the Fight the Power we did. And all of a sudden there's a discourse, there's a disconnect, like, wow, like that was in 1975 on Columbia T-Neck Records. And we in 1989 on Motown Records and on a soundtrack of Do the Right Thing, Fight the Power, right? So Elvis, okay, I grow up Elvis all the time. What? King of Rock and Roll says who? So that means Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Lil Richard.
Preaching.
Right?
Man, that's
Yo,
preaching.
Jerry Lee Lewis, Fats Domino, right? We could go on. They not part of the pioneering thing. Elvis was a marketing, you know, and he's hella talented, incredibly talented. His first records were like Bill Monroe, Blue Moon of Kentucky, and what? Arthur Big Boy Crudups, That's All Right. And Elvisized them in a way that, okay, a white boy from Memphis who loves black culture, gonna flip it and make a song in the beginnings of rock and roll, which comes out of R&B, which comes out of blues.
Correct.
Now, here's a question. I could ask questions all day. People, they be missing them like strikeouts. R&B, y'all love R&B?
Yes, indeed.
Do you think R&B as a term is a construct, or is this something that is? R&B was a term created across a weekend, the term R&B. Y'all know that? Jerry Wexler. Y'all heard of Jerry Wexler? Jerry Wexler, you remember the movie Ray? Of course, that's not too long ago. Jamie Foxx, right?
Yep.
Remember the guy that was talking with the guy that also played Ahmet Ertegun, the head of Atlantic Records? And the guy talks and walks away, and Jamie says, he be all right. That's Jerry Wexler. Jerry Wexler used to be the head journalist at Billboard magazine. And they used to call the column that he headed up, because he was an aficionado of jazz and black music, they called it Race Records. But in 1946 and 1947, where black folks kind of being taught, that was a rebellion, militant period, where black folks said, look, I served in this country at World War II, and I'm gonna come back to this BS. After black folks came out of World War I, you had the what? You had the 1919 riots, where black folks served over World War I and came back to Jim Crow trying to go on overdrive, and black folks wasn't having it. Especially if I'm overseas killing people, I'm gonna kill y'all too.
Wow.
So they found a way to stifle that down. World War II happens, black folks go over, fight, come back. You had a new demographic of young, energetic black people that says, you know what? We ain't gonna be the new Negro. We the next Negro right here in 1946, 1947. It also culminates in sports. The biggest sports that black folks had at that time is what? Baseball.
Baseball.
Because we knocked at the door at baseball for 70 years, the American pastime. And what happens? Jackie Robinson breaks the color line. Not in Brooklyn, Montreal and the minor leagues. Bust ass, damn near wins the MVP. Every single black person was like, yeah, boy. 1947, he comes to the Brooklyn Dodgers, tears that up. They go to the World Series. Where do you think every single black person in the United States is going to be a fan of what team? The Brooklyn Dodgers, even if you lived in St. Louis.
and so that go ahead.
So I'm just saying, at that time, you wasn't throwing a term at black folks. This is what we are. And the Billboard editor of black music at that time, the Negro charts, said, Jerry Wexler, we need to call this list something other than Race Records. And Jerry Wexler went home over a weekend and said, I'm gonna call it the Rhythm and the Blues.
Wow.
And that's the
Give
beginning
it up.
of the term of the music that y'all love so much. Damn, I thought Levert was Rhythm and Blues. So I'm a person, you ask me about something, this is like judo to me. You ask me about the thing that you love, and I'll explain to you why you love it. Although I still don't understand why you pressed I accept without reading when you scrolled on your phone.
Oh, that's what we do. Yes, accept.
And we own you, and we own you, and we own you.
Accept. So I got to ask you another one.
Yes, sir.
Because I know human beings weren't happy with you when you said this.
But I still was able to go home.
You said, I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened and read it and said they were suckers.
Quick answer.
They wanted me for the army or whatever.
Picture me giving the damn. I said,
woo! Chuck, you weren't supposed to say that then. They were not happy with you, sir.
Quick answer. I was born in 1960. 7 years old, right? I'm in Queens, right? My grandparents were foster parents of the year, so they always had, boys over there that they was raising. And one of they were my uncles, right? I called them my uncles, right? and one of them just got out of high school. This is 1967. Four Tops playing in the background. Oh, sweet. And he all happy and shit, right? You know, don't mess with Bill. Don't. He just got out of high school. He's 17, ready to go out, ready to go, ready to go who riding, right? 1967, June. All of a sudden, car pulls up, knocking on every door. Military dudes.
Whoa.
Knocked on the door. Boom. John Robinson, my uncle goes to the door, leaves him a letter, goes back down to the car to the next house.
Wow.
John opens up the letter. Now, of course, I'm 7 years old popping around, and he's like, move. Then he drops the letter on the table, goes in the backyard, fucked up. I could read, 7 years old. John Robinson, you are hereby drafted in the United States Marine.
Wow.
You are about to report next week to Camp Lejeune, North Carolina for basic training en route to Southeast Asia, Vietnam.
Wow.
This is at the same time, I didn't understand why Cassius Clay was changing his name to Muhammad Ali. Same time. John had to go. His summer was fucked up.
Yes, it was.
He goes, and another uncle of mine had to go. They lived, but they both came back because they got shrapnel in the explosion. And they bring back these little ass Purple Hearts. And me and my brother used to play in the tub with them and put on our G.I. Joes.
Wow.
But I got a letter from the government the other day. I opened and read it and said they were suckers. They wanted me for the army or whatever. Picture me giving a damn. I said, my mom wanted to raise me. She said, whatever you do, I want you to be a conscientious objector. And that's where that came from.
Wow. Give it up for
And then
Chuck
got
D,
the P
by the
now.
way. So I want to ask a couple of more questions. And also I want to promote this amazing documentary, but I want to ask you about one more lyric because this still rings true today. And we took this personal as a Detroit native. You were like, I like Nike, but wait a minute. The neighborhood supports. So put some money in it. The corporations
They got to
give up the dough or else.
Got to shut them down.
Got to shut them down. You talking about shutting down billion-dollar corporations.
Well, the thing about it, when people talk about how we spend money,
Preach. Hey,
we be spending some damn money.
preach. Hey, talk to your people now. We here.
I mean,
Talk to us. Talk to us about this.
I mean,
What do we spend?
I'm not an economist, but I would tell you this, that back then in the day, I was just asking a question like, and Nike listen, Nike in the 80s wasn't nothing. Let me tell you, straight up, I'm giving you the real deal. If Michael Jordan doesn't get with Spike Lee and put some hip hop in Mars Blackman.
And then y'all put it in the movie.
Yeah,
That was all of that.
Air Jordans wouldn't have been what Air Jordans wouldn't have been if Spike Lee didn't have Mars Blackman giving them that Brooklyn credibility. Mm-hmm. Because back then,
yes, indeed.
And I know from your hometown, when Run DMC did My Adidas.
Hey, in the air, no shoestrings in them. I did not win them.
When Run DMC did My Adidas, everything that Run DMC wore was accessible. So Nike was I don't know, Mars Blackman added that B-boy touch to Jordan's game that added that street authenticity that Jordan didn't have.
Correct.
So I saw Nike come in there and just kind of got the afterburner of what Run DMC put in there, And then we went into the 80s and the 90s, and I was just like, well, you know what, pump the brakes, because y'all just giving everything to Nike. I know they got the Uptowns and whatnot, but you know, like, we ain't ballers. Everybody ain't a baller. It's about we wearing it with everyday gear. Ballers know what their sneakers are. You know what I'm saying? Ballers know what their best kicks are. In hip-hop and b-boys, we're going to wear something that kind of rolls with the colors, or is it casual, or you running from something or something. You know?
It was the Pumas or the thick shoestrings, the Adidas.
Yeah, so the kick game was a different type of thing. So when I said, I like Nike. Yeah, I like Nike.
I like it.
But wait a minute, it ain't God's gift. You know what I'm saying? Wait a minute, you know? And instead of saying, shut them down, like we're going to boycott them, support some of our own.
Correct.
And at that particular time, black businesses could have got in the kick game. Black businesses, once upon a time, could have got also in the areas of the social media tech game. But the powers that be, sometimes we can't just think that that's better because it got ice water in it and it don't have the colored sign on top of it. You know, so we at a crossroads. I think explanations help us. And it doesn't mean like, oh yeah, we don't buy something that's white. Because black and white is a terrible construct in the United States of America that detaches us from our diaspora. It attaches us away from common sense. I'm saying if you really gonna fight, you better know how to fight. And you better posse up. Because one thing that's a truth informed right about now, by not owning our narrative, if my ass get in trouble, people, ain't a motherfucker getting me out of jail. You hear me? This shit right now, I don't understand what Donald Trump got Teflon on him. This is amazing. When I'm looking at this, I'm saying this is the second coming of Hitler going down.
They got that kid, they got that TikTok brother that was at Times Square.
Yo, I'm just saying, I done seen some people do things and you be like, well, that's that. But if I got in trouble, and trust me, if I got in trouble, Jalen got in trouble, right? You hearing it instantaneously, and ain't a person could get us out of jail. The last black man that got a black man out of jail is dead right now, and that's Johnny Cochran.
Wow.
Listen, all the Brittany Griner bullshit, the last time a black person was taken and saved from another country by a black person is Jesse Jackson with Lieutenant Coleman, who was the aviator, and he got him from over, I think, in what's Gaddafi's spot? Libya. That's it. So how much power do we have? You can't get a person out of jail in the United States of America. Who do you know that get a person out of jail in the United States of America? Or did something black and get them out? Who do you know? How much power you got?
This is where I save Uncle Chuck D from himself. Because I love him very much.
You gonna get me out there?
Yes, because I'm going to come and get you out.
No.
Because you my brother. Before I let you get out of here, I want to tell...
This is why I tell the story about hip-hop. I keep it to hip-hop, to the film, follow the culture.
Give it up. So, thank you, guys. So before we get out of here, and this is an amazing crowd, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your love of hip-hop. Thank you for loving my brother Chuck D. What's happening in the next couple of documentary series that we're going to see, because number one was truly awesome. What can we anticipate in the next couple?
This is full story covering the timeline. And like I said, big up to Lorri Boula, who was able to follow the challenge to get a great team together.
Yes.
Able to connect PBS and the BBC. Big up to the BBC, which communicates to across the world about getting our story from the United States across to the world about a culture that is around the world from its own narrative. And like I said, to caretake culture is a wonderful thing as opposed to undertaking it. So
make sure y'all follow Chuck D, Public Enemy. Go see his shows, Prophets of Rage. Make sure y'all celebrate 50 years of hip hop. We love you, Uncle Chuck D. We're grateful for you. Please stand up and give it up for the incredible, the iconic Chuck